Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is award-winning filmmaker, a landscape regenerator, and of course, an author too, and the author of the book SOS Save Our Soils, no other than Mr. Louis De Jaeger.
Hey, how are you doing?
Welcome to Book 101. Yes, I'm fabulous, Mr. Louise. And can you please introduce more about yourself? And welcome to Book 101.
Yeah, well, I love the world. I love humanity, and I love plants. And one of the things I love the most in life is to regenerate landscapes. I have a landscape architecture firm, so we design gardens, we design private islands, and everything in between, ranches, farmlands. And most of the time, we use plants, but also sometimes animals to make the soil great again. And yeah, I'm so passionate about it that I did a lot of research about it. I traveled the world to talk with very interesting pioneers in the fields, ranging from professors to farmers. And I wrote down all these stories in a book called SOS Save Our Soils, to really teach people how the soil system works, how farming works, and most and for all, how the health of the soil is connected to human health.
Connected for sure. So, Mr. Louise, tell us SOS, save our souls. But before that, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Hoping for more and more empowering books like this to come. So, tell us SOS.
Yeah, so when I was 18 years old, I stood in the supermarket and I had two tomatoes in my hands. One tomato was organic and one tomato was not organic. And I kind of instinctively thought, well, I probably should buy the organic one because it's not been sprayed with pesticides. When I was a kid, I, I heard the story of Snow White, and you learn that you should not eat poisoned apples. But I really didn't know the difference. And I was a bit frustrated that I instinctively knew that pesticides are not great, and we should go in another direction with our food. But the details, I did not know them. So I started this quest to really find answers, and most and for all, find ways that we as humans can perform much better, because we are like a vehicle. We are like these fantastic Ferrari cars. And if you're not gonna put bullshit gasoline in a Ferrari, you're gonna put like the best fuel you can find in your Ferrari car. But our bodies, it's the same thing. If you eat garbage food, you will become garbage. And if you eat like very healthy and living food, then you'll become healthy, vibrant, and like in America, some people pay like hundreds of dollars subscriptions to medication. A lot of these things can be prevented by eating good food, but you can only have good food if you have a good soil. And it's all about the soil human connection. I also call it the soil gut connection, because the gut is the magic part in the body where everything starts. Like 90% of our happiness hormone, for example, is produced in our guts. That's great. If you know that, then you know that whatever you put in your guts will influence your happiness. So once you know that, then you see the world in a different perspective.
Indeed. And Mr. Louise, how did you choose the Argent SOS framing for this book?
Yeah, well, I was shocked the first time I heard it. It was the United Nations that predicted that in 2050, that 90% of our soils will be degenerated, will be unfertile. So with only 10% good soil left on this planet and less than 25 years, we're not going to be able to support ourselves the way we live today. So unless we do something today, in 25 years, we're gonna have a lot of problems, and that's something we don't want. So that really propelled me into action to do anything I can to find ways to restore the soils. And I often say that if we want to save our souls, we need to save our soils, because without soils, we won't have food, and without food, we are nothing. Even if you want to build a spaceship to go to Mars, you still need food to eat, and food still comes from soils. And you taste the difference. Like these top chefs in the world, they buy organic foods. They know that they have the best tastes. And I've did it a lot with people. I've done it with top CEOs, and I gave them tomatoes come from like very good farms, and I let them taste those tomatoes, and they're like, "Oh my god, I've never tasted this before." It's like I didn't even know that a tomato could taste like this, and it's so basic, this tomato. And after that, their paradigm shifted, because after you like know that there are tomatoes that taste so good, you can't go back to the store and eat a tomato that tastes like nothing. And that's the way we should go forward. This fantastic taste, and good taste only is possible with the good soil.
What's the most surprising statistic about soil degradation that people need to know?
Well, I think we all know that the highest mountain in the world is the Mount Everest. It's like this gigantic thing out there. Well, every 7 years, we're losing one Mount Everest of soil, because we plow the soil and it just washes away to the sea and it never comes back. The earth was not created with soil, the earth was one big rock. And it's only because little plants started to work together with bacteria, with fungi to break up these rocks, that little by little soil came into existence. And the soil was literally built millimeter by millimeter, inch by inch on rocks. And after a process of hundreds of thousands or even millions of years, we got this beautiful top layer of topsoil. But now we are destroying what nature has done for the last millions of years. We're sometimes destroying in one night. If we, for example, plowed before a giant rain event, then like 100,000 years of soil just washes away and it will never come back. And it's like one of the worst things you can do.
How does conventional agriculture approach to the soil differ fundamentally from regenerative practices?
Well, the word regenerative literally means that we want to regenerate the land. Often people talk about sustainability and we want sustainable farming, but sustaining is not enough. Imagine that I give you a farm as a present, and that farmland has totally been degraded, and you want to sustain that land, then you're gonna sustain this degraded bad land forever. We don't want to sustain something bad. And if you look at the state of our planet today, there are a lot of soils that are dead because of too much pesticide use. So we don't want sustainable, we want regeneration. And if I give you this farm as a present, you're going to want to regenerate that land. And how do you do that? Well, you boost what nature has done for the last hundreds of thousands of years. You use plants that grow super fast. You mow these plants, you put these plants on the ground so it will feed little microorganisms, little worms, little bacteria, little fungi, and they will start to eat all this plant material and they will poo and they will little by little create this beautiful black soil again. It's like building an underground city. And the good thing is, we don't have to build that underground city. There are a gazillion of soil organisms that are more than happy to start building this underground city. If you take 1 teaspoon of earth, there is more life in this 1 teaspoon than there is life on this entire planet. And so if you know that, you just have to know what do these microorganisms need from us. And that's so in agriculture land, but that's also in your garden. So what do they need? They need shade. You don't want the sun to be shining on bare soil. You want always to cover the soil. You want to feed them by putting cover on it or by putting plants on it. Plants don't take only nutrients from the soil, they also give nutrients to the soil because they're able to get carbon out of the air and pump it into the soil. It's super crazy. And then little by little, you get this beautiful black, spongy soils that if it rains, it will hold the water even during droughts. If you put a tomato seed into it, it will grow all by itself and you don't need fertilizers or any chemicals. A healthy plant doesn't become sick. It's like the human body. If you take care of your body, the chances to for you to get sick is like much lower than if you don't take care of your body. And and that's a nice thing. It is regeneration is possible. What is conventional farming? Conventional farming is you have a leaking roof, and instead of fixing the roof, you just put buckets where you have the leaks. And you can invent the coolest bucket on the planet, but you're gonna still have a leaking roof. And we don't want leaking roofs. We need to fix the roof. And fixing the roof, that's what regenerative agriculture is all about.
Mr. Lewis, what are the biggest misconceptions about what's really harming our soils?
Well, I think the biggest misconcept is that people think that you can put poison on something that is living and expect it not to become sick. That's something that I still don't understand, that people don't get. I go back to the story of Snow White. If I take an apple and I give it to a 5-year-old kid and I say, "Hey kid, you want an apple?" The kid says, "Oh yeah, I love one, thank you." And then I take the apple back and say, "Oh sorry, I forgot." And I take a spray of pesticides or poison. I spray it on that apple and I say, "Oh, I just spraying some poison on the apple. Here you go." Then the 5-year-old is gonna say, "Louis, are you crazy? Are you now giving poison to me on an apple? I'm not gonna eat that." But a 5-year-old knows that. But if you go to any supermarket on this planet and don't buy organic food or an organic apple, you're gonna end up with an apple that has up to 25 different pesticides on it. And we expect that if we eat this, that we won't get sick. One in every three people is chronically ill. That's a disaster. That's if you have three people, one of them is chronically ill. And we ask ourselves, but how is it possible? That's because we poison ourselves with our food that we eat. So the biggest misconception is to eat poison and expect to stay healthy, or to give poison to our soil and expect the soil to be healthy. The soil is not just dirt. It's not just a dead medium. The soil is a living organism full of little creatures that will do anything for you. It will fertilize the soil. It will fertilize the plants. It will create little holes in the soil to aerate the soil. It will hold water. But how can we expect that the soil life will keep on flourishing if we keep on poisoning them? That's just ludicrous.
Mr. Lewis, as award-winning filmmaker, an author, and a landscape regenerator, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
Well, my long term goal is to regenerate 1 billion acres of land. That's the size of the Amazon rainforest. If we only double the size of the Amazon rainforest, not necessarily in the same country, it can be all over the world, we can cool down the planet with 2 degrees Celsius. Uh, Global warming is one of the biggest disasters that's coming today to us. Farmers all over the world are witnessing it. They have extreme droughts, they have extreme floods, they have extreme temperatures, and they lose crops. I don't really mind if you believe in global warming or not. I just literally know farmers in every continent, and they're struggling more than ever. They know their land. They are outside every day of the year. Most of the people are just sitting in offices and are thinking about the climate. But farmers, they are the true thermometers. They are they know that some things are changing, and it's also showing in the food prices. Some foods are getting more scarce. So the goal really is to produce food and at the same time make sure that we can cool down the planet, and that is with regenerating 1 billion acres of land. And one of the best ways to regenerate it is by planting trees. And if you say planting trees, then you might think, yeah, but if you plant trees, what will we eat? And that's the good part. A lot of trees provide food. For example, we all know chestnuts. You can make chestnut bread, chestnut beer, chestnut pancakes, chestnut donuts. You can almost make anything out of chestnut, even chestnut chocolate. It's delicious. I'm a chocolate addict, and it tastes like almost the same. It's incredible. But not only that, for example, leaves. There is more protein in an acre of mulberry leaves than in an acre of soybeans. That's something people don't know. But so if you have mulberry trees, then you'll have as many proteins, and you have the trees, and the trees are cooling down the planet. So that are the long-term goals. The short-term goals is, of course, making sure that the information of how important the soil is reaches as many people as possible. And that's why I took the time to write this book, to really write down in the most simple language as possible how farming works and how the link between healthy soil and a healthy human is. And it's so simple, but you have to just read it. So that's one of my short-term goals. And of course also the documentary that's coming up called Eat More Trees, which is all about the connection of between trees and the climate and the soil and human health, how it all comes together.
Well, Mr. Luis, good luck to your goals and looking forward for more success. So, what will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
Well, first of all, don't be like me and be yourself. That's the most important part. But
Yes.
the if you talk about how to make more impact on this planet, because that's like how I try to identify myself as how can I make the best possible impact on this planet, then it's all about finding out your calling. What is it you're good about? uh, it's in Japanese they call it your finding your ikigai, finding what you're good at, finding what the world's need, what's your talent, what makes you happy, but also what can help you make money, because we live in a world where you need money. So find like where all these things come together, and that can take time, but you just need to ask the question, like, what's the best possible impact that I can do with my skills, with my knowledge, with my experience, also with my disabilities. For example, I know that some things I personally cannot do because I don't have those talents. So be realistic about that too, and that might be some very small things you can do in the world. That might be some very great things you can do, but there are young people that are even 16, 17 years old that came together in the state of Montana, USA, for example, and they challenged the court and said, hey, you're not doing enough climate action. And they won in the court. So they're not even above 18 years old, and they've already like literally changed the law in their own uh, place where they live. And then I say, well, you are probably older than 18 years old. So you have more experience and you know more people, you have more resources. So no matter what it is, you can do it. Everybody has the power to change the world, even if it's only in your street or even if it's only in your household. Even if you only go to the supermarket now and like instead of buying everything non-organic, you start by only buying the peanut butter organic. That's like one little step you can take. But if everybody tomorrow buys organic peanut butter, then that's the only peanut butter that's still gonna exist. All the other peanut butters will disappear or will transform into organic peanut butters, and you make a world of difference. So, yeah, start small, and, but have a huge goal in front of you.
Yes, people, baby steps, baby steps. I myself, Mr. Luis, create a book called Earth Fever, Advocating Climate Change. So,
Amazing.
Mr. Louis, thank you for that advice. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Oh yeah, definitely. One of my favorite books is called The One Straw Revolution by Masanobu Fukuoka. Very strange name. It's because it's Japanese. Um, Masanobu Fukuoka, and it's about farm philosophy. It's about philosophy. What's our connection with the land? Everybody is depending on farming, but we seldom realize that. And but you cannot live without a farmer, and that book really sketches such a beautiful way to look at how farming should be. So definitely would recommend you to read that book.
Thank you for that recommended book, Mr. Louis. And what gives you hope about the future of our soils despite the current challenges?
Yeah, well, there was once a journalist that asked me and say, "Hey, Louis, why aren't you depressed?" I had to laugh because I was like, thinking of a reason why I should be depressed. Of course, there are so many things going on in the world, and I have to admit sometimes I'm really terrified about how fast temperatures are rising, about how fast nature is collapsing. But there's like a very important thing that I do that gives me so much hope and happiness, and that's planting trees. It sounds a bit strange and cliche, maybe, but if you plant a tree and you see that tree grow, and every year it becomes bigger than yourself, becomes bigger than your house, it becomes so big, and knowing that if you plant a nut tree, for example, that it will give nuts not only for the rest of your life, but also for the rest of your child's life, the rest of your grandchildren's life, and even the rest of your grandchildren's life. And you know that that tree will literally cool down a climate. It will make sure that there is less flooding. It will store carbon. It will act as an air conditioner. So it has so many benefits. And if you not only plant one tree but multiple trees, then you are literally being a part of the solution, and you see it growing in front of your own eyes. And that's for me a real revolution. The one tree revolution. If everybody on this planet already just planted one tree, we will already cool down the planet.
Yes, indeed. Cooling the planet is something else that we need for our generation. So before we wrap up our discussion for today, Mr. Louise, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and Law 101 and Mental Health 101 are my baby podcast love letters in each fourth season, as well as my movie 101 review and music 101 and science 101 and sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Louise, if readers could take just one action after finishing your book, what should it be?
Is the realization that we all have unlimited amounts of power inside of us, unlimited amounts of power to be the change in your own life, but also to be the change for other people's lives. And I like to say the quote of Margaret Mead, who says that you can never doubt that a small group of people uh, will change history, because it's the only thing that ever has changed history. If you look back at everything, every giant thing that ever happened in history, it was always a small group of people that were not happy with something. The Clean Air Act was created by a small group of people. The end of apartheid, the end of racism in a lot of places. It was always like a small group of people who were like saying, "Oh my God, we don't want that anymore." So you can be part of that small group of people. You can create that small group of people, and we have to remember that we are the true leaders. We sometimes think politicians are the leaders, but they are the followers. They are our employees. They have to do what we say, basically. They have to work to make our lives good. and work for our best interest. And our best interest is to have healthy soils.
Mr. Louis De Jaeger, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your book, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed being here.
So where do people reach you out, Mr. Louis?
Well, they can find the book on Amazon. Just type in SOS Save Our Soils or go to my website, louisdj.com.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Louis De Jaeger because if you support him, for sure, more and more and more empowering books like this to come. So, Mr. Louis, thank you so much for your time.
See you later. Bye bye.
More to come, people. See you soon.